My boyfriend said I was too emotional for crying when my dog died. I had owned that dog for 14 years before I even met him. Bailey was there before James, before every job, every apartment, every relationship, every choice I made after age 14. My golden retriever was the most consistent thing in my life, and on a Tuesday morning in October, she wasn't anymore. My name is Julia. I'm 28, and I lost my best friend. I'd gotten Bailey when I was in high school. She was there through my parents' divorce, through failed college relationships, through every transition and heartbreak and small triumph. When you share 14 years with a living, breathing creature, when that creature wakes you up, loves you unconditionally, and becomes part of your daily rhythm, losing them doesn't feel like losing a pet. It feels like losing a piece of yourself. James and I had been together for 3 years. He liked Bailey fine. She was sweet, he'd say, but I don't think he ever really understood the depth of what that dog meant to me. She was my anchor, my comfort, my constant. When Bailey got sick, I was devastated but not surprised. She was old. Her body was failing. The vet gave us a week, maybe 2. I took time off work. I wanted every moment to count. The night before the euthanasia appointment, I couldn't sleep. I sat on the floor next to her bed, crying quietly, running my hands through her fur, whispering all the things I wanted her to know, that she mattered, that she'd made my life infinitely better, that I was grateful for every single day. James came downstairs around 2 a.m. He looked annoyed. "You need to go to bed," he said. "You're making this dramatic." I stared at him. "My dog is dying. I'm allowed to—" "You're being too emotional," he interrupted. "She's a dog. People die. Pets die. It's the circle of life. You need to accept it and move on." I couldn't even respond. I just turned back to Bailey and let him go back upstairs alone. The next day, I said goodbye. I held her head as the vet gave the injection. I felt her take her last breath. I sobbed, real gut-wrenching sobs, and for the first time in 14 years, the weight of that dog's presence was gone. I came home destroyed. James was at work. When he got back, I was still crying, still sitting on the couch where Bailey usually lay. He sighed. "Julia, I get it, but you're overdoing this. It's been 8 hours. You need to pull yourself together. We have dinner plans with my friends on Friday." Dinner plans. On Friday. 4 days after I buried my dog, that's when something clicked. Not broke, clicked, like a lock finally turning. I realized that James didn't know me, didn't understand that love isn't measured by species or social convention. He saw my grief as inconvenient, as a character flaw, as too emotional, rather than appropriate and human and right. He expected me to compartmentalize my heartbreak because it was uncomfortable for him. I told him we were done. He thought I was being irrational. He said I was grieving and making bad decisions. He told me his friends said I was overreacting. In his mind, breaking up with him over a dog was proof that I was, in fact, too emotional. But here's what he didn't understand. My ability to feel deeply, to grieve fully, to love something unconditionally for 14 years. That's not a flaw. That's a feature. That's what makes me capable of real connection. The beautiful part came later. My best friend Lisa came over that week with wine and takeout and stories about Bailey. We cried together. My mom called and told me about all the ways Bailey had been there for our family. Coworkers sent flowers and cards. My therapist listened without judgment as I processed not just losing Bailey, but realizing that James was never the right person to process anything with. 6 months later, I met someone else. Someone who asked about Bailey on our second date. Someone who cried with me when I talked about her. Someone who understood that grief isn't weakness, it's evidence of love. And I realized I'd rather be alone than with someone who makes me feel crazy for having a heart. Bailey taught me that. Even in death, she was teaching me something important.